Now, 3 Australian satellites blasted into space early this morning, the first Australian satellites to explore the final frontier in 15 years. The CubeSats, which weigh just over a kilogram each, launched from Cape Canaveral in Florida about 1 a.m, headed for the International Space Station. Joining us now live is the project leader of one of the CubeSats made at the University of New South Wales and the Deputy Director of the Australian Centre for Space Engineering Research, Dr. Elias Aboutanios. Doctor, thank you so much for your time. I know you have a busy day ahead. What is the significance of this project?
Well, first of all, good morning. Yes, it's a very significant day for us. It's a significant day for Australia. This is a very momentous occasion. You've said it, the first satellites in 15 years, Australian satellites in 15 years. But we're hoping that this is much bigger than that. It's a dawn of a new era of space activities in Australia, that we're finally going to get another chance to enter this very, very important business.
And the satellites will measure the thermosphere, which is an area about 200 to 380 kilometres above the Earth. Why is that actually an important area for us to study?
Yeah, so the satellites are part of an international project to study the thermosphere, the lower thermosphere. This is an important area because it affects both our satellites and it affects our weather on Earth. It's very poorly understood because of the difficulty in studying it. And this is the first time ever that we're going to have if you like, an extensive ability to collect data from that area.
You're also undertaking some other experiments with the satellite that you've built, which I understand was actually made from a 3D printer. What is the importance of looking at 3D printed satellites?
Well, this is, the small satellites area is an emerging area. It gives us the ability to execute projects quickly. So 3D printing fits really well into that. It will allow us to prototype satellites, manufacture them quickly. So the experiment that we've got is actually called codenamed Ramses, which is rapid manufacturing of space-exposed structures. So this is the key aspect of it, that if it performs well, it will give us the ability to rapidly make lightweight structures that will advance this area.
Amazing what you can do with a 3D printer these days. Now, we've been talking on Sky News recently about calls from space professionals like yourself for Australia to have a domestic space agency, where I understand currently only one of 2 OECD countries not to have one. Why do you think an Australian space agency would be important or beneficial for us?
Well, an Australian space agency will act as the nucleus around which a space industry can coalesce. It's extremely important. We're the only, we're one of only 2 nations in OECD that don't have a space agency. There have been examples before, New Zealand, the UK, Canada, where a space agency has shown its worth in assisting the national space activities, assisting the space industry. In the UK, for example, the UK Space Agency was a key aspect or a key part of the British government's strategy to increase its share of global space economy. This is, the global space economy is worth around $400 Australian billion now, and it's growing very rapidly. This is an important step for us. It's having a space agency will allow us to grow our share of that, which is less than 1% by the way at the moment.
And Doctor, just returning to the CubeSats, one of them was developed here in Adelaide at the University of Adelaide, and they said it's the culmination of 4 years worth of work. How much effort goes into designing and building these ready to be launched, and what happens to them now that they are up there?
Well, this project has started in 2012. It's been 5 years in the making. It took us 4 years. We delivered the satellites last year. It's a learning experience for us. You have to remember, we're growing our space capabilities. It's been an incredible experience, very, very valuable. The satellites are now, they've made their way to space. They're going to the International Space Station. In about a month's time, they will be deployed, which essentially means that they will be pushed out of the International Space Station to float freely in space. They will orbit the Earth for about a year. They will collect data on the thermosphere. That we will be able to execute our own experiments, study the 3D printed structure, do remote sensing of the ground, study our computing, the computers that we've put up there, and then they will crash and burn.
Dr. Aboutanios, thank you for that. Hopefully it all goes well, of course. We're going to have a quick break on the morning show.